time to get started. Took me a little bit to figure out the editing thing. Hopefully this next one I will actually edit a little bit and knock out the icky parts and parts where I say a lot. The reason I'm doing these videos is I've gone through quite a bit in life. I have made a lot of mistakes. And maybe by sharing some of these mistakes and how I could have handled it better might help somebody else one day. Might be able to, I don't know, not make such horrid mistakes in life. Throughout my life, I have wrestled with addiction issues. Mostly just alcohol. I like to say, but if you just say addiction issues, people say, ooh, drugs and everything. But no, it's just straight up alcohol. And nicotine. And caffeine. I fixed one. So, many years ago, after going through a very messy divorce, separation with wife 1.0, I found myself in a very, very bad situation, which ended up putting me living on the streets. And I gave in to my addiction, and it was really bad. So, from there, I pulled my stuff together. I pulled myself up, and I went into a couple of different programs. I eventually ended up in the Salvation Army. Lived there for a year, and ended up joining their, or becoming an employee of Salvation Army. In doing so, I was able to actually get my feet back underneath me. I eventually moved on and got a job back into my career, engineering. But I wasn't done with drinking yet. And it took me many more years of slips and fails and falls. And the last one was just an absolute glorious mess. I had holed myself up in a hotel down in San Antonio, and I don't know what my ambition was. That's the fun part. When you get into that state, you just don't know. So, a very good friend drove me all the way back home to Dallas and poured me into my bed at home and said, "Good luck, friend." And I knew I couldn't do it myself. I knew that I had lost complete and utter control of my life. So at that point, I checked into the hospital to help medically detoxify my body. And I remember sitting there, staring out the window, and realizing that I am so screwed. Throughout the years, every time I've ever tried to sober up, I would always say, well, it was this that I didn't do right, or it was that I didn't do right. And I would go fix this or that and try and get back on my feet and stay sober. And invariably, it never worked. This last time, as I sat staring out that window, I realized I have nothing left to try. I had nothing in me. I had no solution. In AA, we call that the gift of desperation. And I still value that moment. I hold it dear and close to me. So, that brings me to the point of what I was wanting to talk about today. Is power. Where do I have power in this world? What do I have power over? And it's pretty scary when you boil it down. And let's look at the big picture. I definitely cannot change the weather. I can check the weather forecast. I can look and see what's coming. I can react to that and adjust accordingly. Take an umbrella with me on a rainy day. I can't change my job. I can't change my boss. The things he does in life, the things that are going to happen there, they're going to happen. I can change how I react and what I choose to put into my job. I can't change my emotions. Now, a lot of people will say that, just you can change your emotions. No, you can't. I've learned. Now, some psychology friends of mine might disagree, some might not. I don't know. This is just me and what I've learned in life. I've learned that I cannot change my emotions. My emotions are trained reactions that I've given my brain through a lifetime of experience. So given a set of external stimuli, I will have an emotional reaction accordingly so. So the emotions are going to happen. What's important for me is to recognize what those emotions are and choose how I react to them. So hopefully you've noticed a theme as I've been going through this. I can't change the weather, but I can react to it. I can't change my boss, but I can react to him. I can't change my emotions, but I can react to them. So it boils down to, I have power over one thing in this world. That one thing is how I choose to react. Do I choose to react in a positive fashion or a negative fashion? Now, the fun part is it's like, especially in when working with my wife or whenever there's conflict or anything like that, I can choose to react in a positive fashion and hope that it works out well, but I can't choose to be positive with the expectation that all of a sudden my wife's going to turn around and go, oh, you're being positive, so I'll be positive. No, that's not how it works. It has to be just an all-in thing. I choose to react in a positive fashion, hoping to inject a little positivity back into the world, hoping that will make that bit of a difference and improve things. It doesn't always. And that's hard. But that is life. So choosing to always react in a positive fashion without expectation of return, that's the task. That is what I have power over. And that to me is the meaning of power. Now with my emotions, some days I'll feel really, really great. And some days I'll feel really, really sad. And those that tell you just try and be happy, happiness is not an end goal. Happiness is just yet another state of mind. Serenity, that is the goal. But that's a discussion for another day. What I can do with my emotions is I will spend time thinking about them. Once every 5 minutes, I'll stop and think, how do I feel right now? What emotion am I feeling? And it's really important to start recognizing your emotions and how you feel. What are you reacting to? And if I find myself, and then also when I'm in conflict, the emotions are just right there. It is straightforward. I know what emotion I'm feeling. I'm feeling pissed off. So what can I do about these emotions that are either inflammatory or depressing or some sort of negative emotion that is causing life difficult for me or making life difficult? Well, I can choose to try and react to that. Now, how can I react to just an emotion? Like I said earlier, emotions are an automatic reaction from ingrained behaviors that occur between my two ears. So there's something externally in my life that is causing or instigating that emotion. That emotional state is occurring. So why not look at my surroundings or my life or the situation that I'm in? Is there something that I can change about that situation that I'm in? Is there something I can do? Such as if I'm in conflict with my boss, am I approaching this right? It shouldn't be a negative experience dealing with my supervisor. So, obviously, I can fix something about myself. I can change how I'm reacting to this situation to try and minimize the altercation. Same thing with my wife. I can try and minimize the negativity by choosing to react in possibly a more positive fashion. And sometimes it's just a matter of removing myself from the situation. There have been several times where, either with friends, wife, work, I will just separate myself from the situation because I don't have a reaction that would be sufficient to counteract the volatility of the situation. And that is perfectly acceptable. In fact, it's desirable. If I don't have anything positive to add and I am incapable of coming up with a positive solution, removing myself from that situation is the primary goal at that point. And once I'm separated from that, I can focus inwards, find where I had made a mistake, examine what emotions I'm feeling, see what I can change, and then with a calmer head, re-enter the situation and attempt to resolve it. All of these things are strictly focused on what I have the power to do. And that power is to react. And that's the only thing I can do in this world. Now, a quick follow-up to the fun time story that I started out with of having such a harsh time with being homeless and living at the Salvation Army. I eventually did. That last trip into the hospital worked. And I hold on to that moment of desperation. That gift of desperation has held me through for 6 years now. And in the last 6 years, I've been able to get my stuff together. I have started working. I went to Best Buy and worked there in Geek Squad for a while. Picked up a contract with a little rocket company down the road from Dallas. And worked my butt off and got hired full time. A couple years ago, even got promoted up to engineer, even without a degree. And I've worked really hard. Things can happen. Good things can happen. Having an addiction to alcohol or any other substance is not a world-ending problem. For me, I choose to see it as a gift. It's a gift that's allowed me to walk a path that otherwise I would have been oblivious to. And who knows, maybe I'll be able to share some of these lessons with you guys that may not have any addiction issues, but still you can take away some of these life lessons and live a better life. That's what I try to do.